Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala al-Tahirin.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
Last night we touched upon the idea that the term kafir has an essential meaning which has a number of applications. One was the negative application of what it means to be a kafir, which is the meaning that we're used to. And these people have an adhab in the hereafter, a punishment in the hereafter. And then there's the positive understanding of what it means to be a kafir, which isn't used usually in that sense, but it exists, or it's implied in the Holy Qur'an. And they too also have a form of adhab. The form of adhab that they have is the positive kafir, is that when they're with the masses, they do suffer when they see how the masses are behaving and how they should behave, and when they compare it, like the way the prophets, the imams usually suffer when they see our spiritual status quo. How the 12th imam, for example, suffers when he sees how his followers are behaving, and so on and so forth. But returning to the adhab of the non-believers, that negative understanding of the kuffar, here there is an interesting discussion and significant difference of understanding between the theologians and the urafa, and even between the urafa themselves, as to this adhab, this punishment. Does it entail an eternal form of burning and torment, or not? That which is definite, that all scholars agree with, is that eternal hell is a definite. Everyone accepts that. Even eternal fire, everyone accepts. Or eternal curse of Allah, cursing having a specific meaning, which we've talked about before, I think, not in this series of lectures, but other series. Even the eternal curse of Allah, everyone accepts. And these can all be found in the Qur'an. Eternal fire, eternal hell, eternal curse of Allah. However, that which is an area of controversy is eternal burning. Eternal burning. That one tastes and suffers eternally. That is an area of controversy. Do we have that in the Qur'an? Here the theologians say yes. The urafa, on the majority of them, say no. But there is a small minority of urafa too, who they say and agree with the theologians, that even this eternal burning and eternal roasting, this too, they believe in. So I want to go through a number of verses of the Holy Qur'an which covers all these different aspects, and then explain where the difference lies in the mechanisms of understanding of the same verses, how different scholars have attained to different conclusions. Okay. In chapter 2, verses 161 and 162. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ. Those who are non-believers and they die as non-believers, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ. These people, عَلَيْهِمْ, against them, against them being the opposite of in their favor. This preposition ala here is used in opposition to lahum, the lam preposition. Alayhim, against these people, against their favor, is what? La'natullah, the curse of Allah. Wal malaikati, wan nasi ajma'in, and the curse of the angels, the curse of the people, all of them. Khalidina fiha, they'll eternally be in it. Fiha, in it. La yukhaffafu anhumul adhab, and adhab, punishment, will not be lightened from them, won't be reduced. Wala hum yundarun, and they will not be reprieved. Okay, here adhab will not be reduced, will not be lightened. That's one. And it says khalidina fiha, they'll be in it forever. So when adhab won't be lightened and they'll be in it forever, does that mean eternal burning though? Here the Urafa say, look, khalidina fiha, residing forever in it. This it pronoun, ha, fiha, in it. Where are you reverting it to? Where does it go back to? The verse says, alayhim la'natullah. Then khalidina fiha, meaning they'll reside forever in it, in Allah's curse. Here, it's an example of residing eternally in what? In the curse of Allah. There's no talk of that burning adhab or roasting adhab. There is adhab, but the adhab here is that of la'natullah. It's not that of burning eternally. It's not adhabul hariq, so to speak, that burning adhab. Okay. In chapter 3, verse 88, the same applies. The same logic, the same la'natullah also is there. In chapter 4, verses 169 and 170, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَظَلَمُوا, those who are kafir and wrongdoers. لَمْ يَكُنِ اللَّهُ لِيَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ, Allah won't forgive them. وَلَا لِيَهْدِيَهُمْ طَرِيقًا, and Allah won't guide them to a path. إِلَّا طَرِيقَ جَهَنَّمْ, save the path of hell. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا, they'll reside in it forever. Here again, there is eternity. No one denies that. But in what? إِلَّا طَرِيقَ جَهَنَّمْ, then it says خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. Yes, they'll be in hell forever. But the discussion and the controversy is whether they will burn in hell forever or roast in hell forever. Okay, they will be in hell forever. That's different to saying they will burn in hell forever. The point is this, and before we continue with the other verses, you see, of all the words to describe punishment in Arabic, of all the words to denote that pain and suffering, the word adhab is used. not alam or da' or other words. Adhab is used. And adhab, as Ibn Arabi shows, it's from udhuba, which means sweetness, or to be more exact, it means wholesomeness. Wholesomeness. There's a wholesomeness associated with adhab. It's wholesome for the kafir. And that's why in the Qur'an you see, when it comes to adhabun azim, the mighty punishment, it says, وَلَّهُمْ adhabun azim. And in their favor, for them. The Qur'an didn't say, وَعَلَيْهِمْ adhabun azim. It says, alayhim la'natullah, okay, but it didn't say, alayhim adhabun azim. It's always, lahum adhabun azim. In favor for, it's for their favor. This adhabun azim is wholesome for them. The literal meaning too means wholesome. It's in their favor. And then Allah says, وَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ عَظِيمٍ. وَبَشِّرْهُمْ. Give them glad tidings of the mighty punishment. Glad tidings? Why? Why should glad tidings be given? Because eventually they'll be freed and then they could go to heaven. When they burn and are cleansed as a result of that, then they go to heaven. Or they will stay in hell. But give them glad tidings. Either way. This is you have to always take the genuine meaning of the verse of the Qur'an. The theologians here take the metaphorical meaning. They say, oh, this is a figure of speech. The Urafa, as a principle, don't accept figurative speech from Allah. Whatever comes from Allah, it comes in the haqiqi, real, true sense. Figure of speech doesn't apply to Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, that's also important to bear in mind when discussing this point. In chapter 9, verse 68, وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْكُفَّارِ. That Allah promises the male and the female hypocrites and the non-believers, نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ, the fire of hell. This promise, the fire of hell. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا, residing forever in it. In what? The fire of hell. In it, here, the pronoun goes back to Noor, the fire. Here, hasbuhum, it is in accordance with them. It's sufficient for them. وَلَّعَنَهُمُ اللَّهُ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ. And Allah curses them, and for them is that residing punishment, adhab. Okay, here too. There's punishment. They reside in it forever, but in what form of punishment? The fire of hell. The question though is, okay, that's not a problem. The Urafa say, we accept that too. However, this fire, who says it will always be burning in the hereafter? They may be in fire, and they're certainly in hell, and they may even be in fire, and it's certainly eternally, but who says they'll be burning eternally? When the Qur'an is giving glad tidings, when adhab is a wholesomeness for them, that can they can become used to it. Yes, they'll be residing in the fire, and it'll always be there, residing eternally, but they may be used to it. They may become used to it. And therefore, that burning will no longer prevail over a period of time. Yes, even one moment in hell, one moment of that burning, we can't tolerate, and we have to be scared of. That's another issue. I don't want to romanticize, or I don't want to romanticize hell. The point is, it's a wholesomeness. Glad tidings is given to it. So what is there to say that maybe over a period of time, that fire will no longer be a source of suffering for them? And we do have traditions where it says, with the people in hell, they'll become used to the fire, the scorpions, the snakes, and that is their food. They become used to it over a time. But even if we didn't have these traditions, the idea is that adhab is a form of wholesomeness for them. I think glad tidings is given in relation to this adhab. And therefore, when we see an eternity in Noor Jahannam, in the fire of hell, that doesn't automatically mean there's an eternal burning and roasting. That one is always tasting this roasting and burning. They may become used to it. And that's what the Urafah, the majority, believe. Chapter 16, verse 29, فَادْخُلُوا أَبْوَابَ جَهَنَّمَ, enter the gates of hell, خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا, residing in Jahannam, in it. Here Jahannam is used in hell. فَلَبِئْسَ مَثْوَى الْمُتَكَبِّرِينَ, and how bad is the residence, the locus, the abode of the arrogant. Yes, here they reside forever in it, they'll reside in Jahannam. But who says there'll be eternal burning? Yes, they may always be in hell. And naturally there's going to be burning in the beginning. And they're always going to be in hell. But these people, they'll never have that access to heaven because they never had pure aqa'id or actions. Yes, maybe for me and you, after a period of burning and cleansing of the soul, then we go to heaven. But some people may just remain in hell. But there's no illusion or no reference that they'll burn and roast in hell always. Hell is going to be their place, and they'll reside for there. You see, there's not going to be a red monster awaiting us, separate from us, and then that monster burning us and whipping us. If that was going to be the case, then we could say, why are you burning us? Then they will say, because we want you to go to heaven after a period of time. Then you could legitimately say, well, I don't want to go to heaven, stop burning me. See, if the source of punishment was other than you, that was a legitimate question you could ask. No one could force you to go to heaven. We don't believe that punishment is something arbitrary, outside you. Punishment is you, your actions that you did in the dunya mazra'atul akhirah. The world is the hereafter's farmyard. The actions that you're doing, those that are incorporated within you, that's going to be manifested. Assalamu alaikum. That's going to be manifested in the hereafter. The punishment is you, it's your actions. You are your actions. You can't be mutually exclusive from them. Sorry. And therefore, you can't segregate yourself from those actions because you are your actions. It's all something that you acquired for yourself, this punishment in the hereafter. It's not given to you from outside you. Right now, when you're sinning, you're punishing yourself, but you don't see it. It doesn't appear before you. It's not something material for you to experience now. It's It's immaterial. And since we're drowned in the material, we don't experience it now, but it's happening right now. After death, it appears before you. وَبُرِّزَتِ الْجَحِيمِ. The hellfire appears before you. That's the language of the Qur'an in relation to the hereafter. In chapter 33, verses 64 and 65, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَعَنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Allah has cursed the non-believers. Assalamu alaikum. وَأَعَدَّ لَهُمْ سَعِيرًا. And He's prepared for them a blaze, a flaming fire, a blaze, which is like a fierce fire. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. Here is that they reside in it eternally, they reside in it eternally. This time the pronoun goes back to Sa'ira, which is a fierce fire. It's a blazing fire. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. Eternally they are residing in it. لَا يَجِدُونَ وَلِيًّا وَلَا نَصِيرًا. And they won't find a guardian or helper for them. Okay, here there's eternity too, and it's a fierce fire, but there's no reference that they will be burning or roasting in that fierce, flaming fire. Maybe over a period of time, that will become second nature to them. They'll become used to it. See, this has to be substantiated. This is the area of controversy. That is this burning, this roasting, is that forever? The fire is forever, no problem. They'll become used to it, maybe. The abode of hell is forever. They may become used to it. The curse of Allah forever, no problem. But this being burnt and roasted forever, and then experiencing it, that pain and suffering forever, that there's no mention in the Holy Qur'an. Chapter 35, verse 36, in relation to Noor Jahannam, says, لَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِهَا. In relation to the fire of hell, it won't be reduced or lightened. The adhab, the punishment of Noor Jahannam, will not be lightened for them. You see, here sometimes, for example, when you go to the sauna, and it's 100 degrees Celsius, for example, in the beginning it's very difficult for you to tolerate the heat. Over a period of time, it's the same sauna, it's the same 100 degrees Celsius, but then you become used to it over a period of time. La yukhaffafu, it hasn't lightened, it's the same 100 degrees Celsius. But you're in the sauna though. Here too, they're in the fire of hell. La yukhaffafu, it hasn't reduced for them, it hasn't become lightened, but there's nothing to say they're still burning. There's nothing to say that they're still suffering, tasting that burning sensation like in day one. They may become used to it. It becomes wholesome for them. Okay. In chapter 22, verse 22. كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها من غم أعيدوا فيها وذوقوا عذاب الحريق. Now, here in this verse, even some of the Urafa have used this verse to show that actually there is eternal roasting or eternal burning. And they side with the theologians and they use this verse. They say every time, whenever, kullama. For them, in this verse, the operative word is kullama, every time, aradu, it's in relation to the inmates of hell, every time they desire or will أن يخرجوا منها, to exit from hell, min gham, out of anguish, out of sorrow, they have pain, they're suffering, and out of anguish because of this suffering they want to exit. It's a source of punishment for them, but they're burning. I say they're burning because of the context of the verse. It'll come in a minute. Out of this anguish, because of this burning experience, every time they want to exit from hell, u'idu fiha, they'll be returned in it. They'll be returned in hell. وَذُوقُوا عَذَابَ الْحَرِيقِ, and it will be said to them, taste the burning punishment. Taste it. You see here, it's burning. This is burning. The minority of Urafa and most of the theologians, they say, look, this is evidence of eternal burning. We say, why is it evidence for eternal burning? Because it says Adhab al-Hariq, but why do you say eternal? Because it says every time they want to come out of it. So every time they want to come out of hell, they'll be taken into it and they'll taste the burning hell. You see, from this they understand eternity in burning. Because every time for these people they exit, they'll be put back and they'll be told, taste the burning punishment. Is that evident? The logic, is it?
Mm-hmm.
In response to this logic, the majority of Urafa, they say, look, the operative word you've used is kullama, every time. However, we're using another word. For us, the operative word is aradu. They're willing, they're desiring. Every time they desire to exit hell, they'll be put back and be told, taste the burning punishment. But who is saying they will, or they desire to exit? Maybe over a period of time they won't will. They're satisfied with where they are. See? They're satisfied with where they are. It's what they expect. It's sufficient for them. Here, hasbuhum. It's in accordance with them. It's there. It will become second nature to them. For these people, they don't want to go to heaven. Going to heaven will be a source of punishment. I'll describe what I mean by that later. These people, they no longer want to exit hell. It becomes wholesome for them after a period of time and burning. And therefore, if they become used to it, that eternal burning no longer becomes an issue here. And that's how they answer in relation to them. In relation to chapter 4, verse 56, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا. Those who deny, don't believe in our signs, we'll burn them with a fire. كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ, every time their skin is roasted, بَدَّلْنَاهُمْ جُلُودًا غَيْرَهَا, we will replace the skin with another skin. We will replace their skins every time their skins are roasted. لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ, so that they taste the punishment. Here too, this need not necessarily refer to eternal roasting. It says every time it's roasted, we'll replace it. But what is there to say that over a period of time they become used to the fire and they won't be roasted? It will become wholesome for them. It's adhab at the end of the day. But when there is punishment, when there is that burning, every time it's roasted, yes, it will be replaced. It doesn't directly prove eternal burning. The word kullama does not indicate that eternity in burning. These people become used to it. And when they become used to it, that burning, that roasting need not be there. They'll be in fire. They'll be in hell, no problem. And they'll be in the fire eternally. They'll be in hell eternally. But being roasted eternally, no. And the same may even apply in heaven. People may be in heaven eternally, no problem. They'll be given rewards eternally, no problem. But will they taste with ecstasy the rewards of heaven eternally? Or will the rewards of heaven, will they become used to the rewards of heaven too? What kind of heaven are we looking for? Is it just a very simple, recreational, animalistic form of heaven? But if that's the case, we may even become used to that. Even the inmates of heaven, they shouldn't be complacent. It's good. They'll be in heaven eternally. They'll have rewards eternally. But they may become used to that. And then when they see the real states of heaven that people are experiencing, where they are enjoying it eternally, then they may feel a form of regret, remorse. It's possible. I'm not sure how long we have. I don't have a... Do we have...
It's 8 p.m. right now.
Oh, it's 8 p.m. right now, so... I'll just finish with this point that... I don't want to rush it, inshallah. I'll continue with this point, inshallah. There's an analogy given. I just wanted to give the analogy, inshallah. I'll finish with this tomorrow. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.